What's up, yogis? Welcome back to the Zen Den and day 4 of our beginner or our 30 pose journey. So today's pose is downward facing dog, adho, mukha, svanasana. I'll say it one more time, adho, mukha, svanasana. This pose, you know it, you've seen it, it's everywhere. It's practiced in pretty much every style of yoga across the world. It's a beautiful posture for stretching and strengthening, and it's one to really learn well because you're going to be doing it a lot. If you're not on your mat, I invite you to join me, and let's get started. All right, yogis, now that we're here, let's get into tabletop position, which is becoming pretty common right now, of how we start our postures. Again, I'm going to talk about this until I can't breathe. The same shape with the hands has got to happen right here in downward facing dog, adho, mukha, svanasana. Fingertips spread super wide. We push down between the knuckles, the padding of the fingers, specifically the pointer finger and the thumb. Okay? We strengthen up through the arms, the wrists, the forearms, the upper arms, and they roll out to make space for the neck as well as across the back. Belly button hugs to spine. With all of that going on, now curl the toes under and start to send the hips nice and high. As you send the hips high, you might need to readjust the hand placement, taking the hands a little wider or more narrow. And then drop the head and neck and push back through the sits bones, so sending them back and high. Keeping a really nice healthy bend in the knees here to start, and just starting to pedal out the feet. This pose, if you are practicing it like me, having not warmed up or done a yoga class, it's definitely a lot of work in the hamstrings. So by pedaling out the feet, we allow the backs of the legs to gently awaken, open. And honestly, even when I am really awakened and opened, I still always bend the knees. It just feels better for my low back, not crunching or pulling anywhere throughout the pose. You're also more than welcome to take the feet as wide as your mat, which will help even more with the opening of the hamstrings. Really pushing down through the hands to lift up through the arms. The arms have to do a lot of work throughout this pose. Continuing to breathe in and out of your nose. We'll stay for 3 more deep breaths, you making any movements that feel good for you here. But continuing and maintaining the strength in the arms, rolling them out and away from the ears, hugging the belly button up and in. 2 more rounds of breath. Last round of breath. And then slowly melt the knees back down towards the ground, tabletop pose. So now that we've experienced the posture, and it might have been a little tough, let's talk through some ways to help. So one of the first things I want to talk about is placing a block in between the legs, the thighs. What this does is it encourages a inner rotation of the thighs to send the energy back, okay? That sounds super weird, so let me get in the shape and show you. As you send the hips back and high and straighten the legs and melt the chest down, you want to spiral the thighs so that they're rotating in, and you're almost like, imagine that you want to push this block out, like you're trying to poop it out behind you. Sorry for the visual, but that's what you need to feel like. So you're squeezing your inner thighs and rotating them out, pushing that block out. This is a great way to build strength and really fine-tune the alignment of the pose. So number 1, you can do that. Number 2, if you have any type of wrist injury or they're just starting to bother you, you can come into Dolphin Pose. So dropping down onto the forearms, and this is actually a lot of work, and coming into down dog from here. This is a really great prep pose for Pincha Mayurasana in the future, forearm balance. But for now, you can stay here on the forearms and find that same chest, heart opening, backs of the leg opening, sending the hips nice and high. And then if you're looking to advance your practice or just start to get into the swing of things with the Sun Salutation Vinyasa sequence, I recommend starting to practice from downward facing dog, rolling into plank pose. So coming into a downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, finding that shape, that alignment, that strength. You inhale to gaze forward and exhale into plank pose, stacking shoulders over wrists. Take it back, send the hips back and high, downward facing dog. Inhale, breath, gaze forward. Hair, get out of my way. So sorry, everyone. Exhale, breath, come into plank pose, stacking shoulders over wrists, making that long line of energy. Inhale the hips back and high, downward facing dog. I'll do 2 more. Inhale to gaze forward. Exhale, roll it forward, plank pose. Take it back and high. Last time, inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, plank pose. Really integrating the body. Everything's working. Take it back, downward facing dog. Whew, and then drop those knees down. Let's take a child's pose for a moment. Send the hips back. Extend the fingers forward. Relax. 1 round of breath. And then inhale to come up. And you're done. So downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, really important practice, really important posture. It's a building block for what's to come. Again, let's just go over what's really important. The webbing in the hands, activating up through the entire arm and really rolling the shoulders outward to make space in the chest, in the back, and in the neck area. From there, sending the energy up to the sits bones with the belly hugging back to the spine. And then down the back side of the body, keeping the knees really nice and bent so that you can soften into the opening of the hamstrings as well as not crank into the low back area. Staying there, pedaling your dog out, taking 5 to 10 breaths, and then maybe finding some stillness. If you're working on creating that alignment in the legs, placing a block. And then if the wrists are bothering you at all, dropping down to your forearms. Yeah? Okay. Thanks so much for joining me here today in the Zen Den. I'll meet you back here for day 5 of the 30 Pose Journey. Hey journey goers, Allie here with a huge favor to ask you. If you love practicing yoga alongside me and want more of it, then please subscribe to the channel. By supporting me, you inspire my journey, which then I hope inspires yours. As always, thank you for stepping on the mat with me, for being a part of this community, and for making the commitment to live your journey.